Hello, my name is Caitlin Hess. I'm currently in my second year of studying foundation phase education at the University of Pretoria. Today I'm going to be discussing the importance of being aware of linguistic diversity and how it may influence our thinking. Firstly, we need to understand what linguistic diversity is. Linguistic means language, and diversity is a group of different things which come together. Therefore, linguistic diversity refers to the different types of traits, such as language, vocabulary, and grammar, which means linguistic diversity within our classrooms is a range of learners who speak different languages. In South Africa, we have 11 official languages, which just highlights the idea that not every learner is going to have the same mother tongue. However, even though we have 11 official languages, in majority of our classrooms, the language of instruction is English. That is why it is important to be aware of linguistic diversity within our classrooms, as it is important to be aware of the learners who aren't learning in their mother tongue. As for these learners, going to school and having to speak a different language can be very overwhelming and scary, and these learners may need more emotional support from the teacher. These learners are going to be going from their home environment where they are spoken to and speak in their home language to now going to school where they speak and are spoken to in English. They are going to be learning to write as well as read for the first time, which happens in foundation phase, but in a different language. So this can be very scary as well as overwhelming, and it's important for the teacher to be aware of these learners so that they are there if they need any more emotional support. It is important for the teacher to be aware of linguistic diversity because learners who are being taught in a different language, such as English, rather than their home language, often find it challenging to understand the concepts, which is why they may need more assistance from the teacher in order to grasp the concepts taught and to understand the work, as well as keep up the standard of work. It is important to identify the various languages spoken in your classroom, as well as the identity and backgrounds of each learner, because you want your learners to feel valued as well as respected, which they will by you knowing them, as this will make them feel valued because you are taking an interest in their personal lives. You want your learners to feel as though the classroom is a safe environment and that their home language isn't a problem. You don't want your learners to feel that because they have to leave their home language at home, it is a problem. You want them to feel valued and respected. It is important to take into account the linguistic and cultural heterogeneity of the learners, and this will influence your thinking. By being aware of linguistic diversity, it can influence your thinking, and you can use this new way of thinking as a learning resource in your classroom. You can use this new way of thinking as a learning resource by, for example, in your reading activities, you could use multilingual books in your reading activities and take multilingual books from the library. Or when doing shared reading activities and having to do reading groups, you can assign bilingual partners within those groups. As well as you can invite people from the community to tell stories in different languages and then translate them in English. You can invite students who speak different languages to teach your class a new word. For example, you could have one student who speaks Zulu. One week come up and say, okay, now you're going to teach us a word in Zulu, and then they can tell you the word and tell you what it means in English. You can also include this in your classroom by greeting the learners in different languages each week. So for example, one week you can greet them in English and say hello, and then the next week greet them in Zulu by saying sawubona and inform the learners that this week we are greeting in Zulu. This way the learners will also be aware of linguistic diversity, as what you do as a teacher translates on the learners. This can also influence your thinking as a teacher, as you may have to be more patient, as well as provide extra work or extra lessons to a learner who isn't learning in their mother tongue. As like I mentioned before, these learners may battle with the work and may need more assistance. Therefore, you may have to pay more attention to them within the classroom when doing certain subjects, or may have to do extra lessons with those learners. Your teaching can also be influenced, as you can ask learners questions about their language as well as their cultures, and then do a theme table. So you could identify all the languages spoken in your class and then do a theme table based on all those languages, and then hold a discussion on all those languages in your class. In conclusion, it is very important for future teachers like myself to be aware of linguistic diversity as well as current teachers. I hope that you found this video interesting as well as insightful. Thank you.